Alright, we've got a quiet afternoon to do some electronics. And in the deliveries the other day, I got a couple of these kits. These look like little mini Tesla coils. I think they're just like little mini inductors. Anyway, designed to make enough electric field that you can make a neon glow. There's only a handful of stuff on here. What have we got here? We have a BD243C. And there's two kits in here. I think they're both BD243s. Yep, those ones. There's two separate kits. Not much else. There's a heatsink in here. Really not much else to write home about. A couple of resistors and a little mini, like in the nanofarads capacitor. So I guess this is just like an oscillating loop. Looks like there might be, there's a switch goes on there. Yeah, so really not much to do about it. It's just a self-latching loop. I don't know what kind of voltage we're going to feed into these. There was no instructions whatsoever. But yeah, we'll put one of these together and see how it goes. Alright, we have all the parts from one kit laid out. We have 4 standoffs, 4 small screws, which look like 2mm, 3mm screw, which I assume is to hold these two together, switch, MOSFET, I believe that's what it is. I haven't looked up the data sheet. DC input socket, coil, 2 capacitors, 2 LEDs, a neon, and a couple of resistors. Resistors are black, orange, gold. No, brown, black, orange, gold. So there's 103. So they're like a 10K with 5 or 10% tolerance, which is probably okay for this. So yeah, I guess, I don't know why I've got 2 capacitors, but we'll work it out from the silk screen on the board and see what we can do. Alright, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the resistors being the least sensitive thing. I'm going to turn on the soldering iron station over here, which my UPS screams at me for. I'm going to chop our 2 resistors out of the way. And where do they go on the board? Give the tip a little clean. And first component on the board. Using 6040 tin lead flux core for this. Alright. So looking at the LED up close, which is the easiest way to see it, there is a flat side here, and the internal component looks to be the larger side. Say that leg's the cathode. Okay, LED in position, hopefully the correct orientation. It looks like they give you double ups of most of the major components in here, I guess because they expect you to burn them out. Here is a snip. Right, moving on to the capacitor now. This will be likely what sets the frequency of the oscillations. Alright, switch contacts next. This is a pretty simple kit. I want to be for the price. You paid like $1.80 for this. Australian. Alright, now we're going to do DC input jack. Now this board moved, so I want to get that first pin in securely. Once that cools, the other 2 should take up the correct position. Yep. This will require a little bit more solder on bigger lugs like this. Alrighty, we're good. Now, I'd wager that this FET is likely going to get hot, so that's why they included the heatsink. So what I'm going to do is stick a little heatsink paste on it. Now, I'm guessing this is meant to go that way to stay in the confines of the board by the silk screen, which means it'll go on this face. So we're going to put just a tiny bit of heatsink paste in here because it does make a difference. That's probably about 300 times too much. But whatever will be, will be. Yep, there's definitely thread inside that heatsink, which makes life much easier. I don't have to find a 3mm nut now. Bit of heatsink paste on the back there, but we'll wipe that down. Right, so that whole shebang all goes in. Let's put our 3 legs in first here. So I assume that's the correct orientation because it would be difficult to put it in any other way. So yep, we'll put that in and hold down with some blue tack. Right, and we will solder away. Alright, and all that is left now is to chop some legs off I'll probably want to, because the legs on that will be a little bit spicy by the time we're done, but we're good. Alright, all that's left now is to work out where to put the coil. We do certainly have double ups of components. The coil, I guess, is going to need to be hot glued there. Where the wires go for it, I don't know. So I had to check the AliExpress listing, and it looks like the wire on the top is intended to be free floating, and it does do Tesla coil like stuff. So the only other connection is the one right next to the LED here. So I guess that's what we'll hook it up to. I'm going to glue this down with some hot glue off camera, and we'll move from there. Right, so I ended up putting super glue on just around the top of the track there. I've just sat it down there. I've threaded the wire through the hole first, and I will solder that afterwards, so I don't have additional coils inside that can cause weird eddy currents. So we'll leave this sit for a while.
20 minutes later.
Alright, so now the glue has dried. We're going to do the coil wire. I've pulled the slack out of that. This is enameled wire, so it does take a bit of heat to burn off the enamel on it. So it is worth verifying that it is actually soldered when you do this. I'm going to leave that tail on for a minute until I verify that it's connected. Okay, to verify if this is connected, I'm going to see how I go with the zoom feature here and see if we can zoom in just a little bit more. Hopefully we have a good connection there. I guess we'll find out if it works or not. Now we've got our soldering iron just a little bit warmer. What we might do, a little bit of extra flux here, and we'll just heat that just a little bit more. Give it a bit of a reheat. The camera sees it better than my eyes do. Right, I think we'll be alright. What we'll do from there is we will just trim the tail off now. Okay. Right, the time has come to plug it in, and I've got a bunch of stuff. This is a 5.5mm 2.5, so 5.5 2.1. There you go. That's the millimeters in inner and outer diameter of the jack plug. We have a banana plug here that goes up to the test supply up here. Now we have 9 volts. They say you can run it on, so we'll try that first. But they say 9 to 12 volts. So let's see what happens. We'll turn our overhead light off here. Let's try 9 volts. Oh, there's a switch. Let's try that. Yep. Got no LED on there. We are doing center positive. All right. Let's try 12 volts. There we go. And the neon is lighting, and we've got a little bit of arc off the end. That's pretty cool. Things didn't get real warm with a short test, so that's all right. Now let's see if I can get the coil near it. Oh, yep, there we go. So we are nearing the top of it. Let's move our camera up here a bit. So right in there it gets very bright. Off around the sides of the coil. This is obviously the discharge wire. So yeah, that is pretty cool. I guess we'll find other things to energize with the Tesla coil. But for a cheap little project, this would be good. This is something I might get my apprentice to work on. We've darkened the room. We can see the arc a little bit more now. But this is still pretty cool. The blue from inside is just from the LED that's down the middle. Not sure how necessary that is. Can we get some arc across to this? Alright. Right, I've been playing with it for a bit, and I found that definitely when I put this right down in here, the induction is such that it actually does overload and shut down, and that little MOSFET gets really hot. So I think that's running probably at the limit of its frequency band. Also, you're not nuts, they did include spare parts. These are the 3 main components you need. Probably the easiest ones to burn out or mess up or get backwards. So yes, these are spares. Almost forgot to show it with the legs on. These are the little standoffs. These 2 here, they've moved them to half holes on the side. Whether that be a design flaw or whether that will be to keep it clear of these other things here, I'm not sure. But it does work. They're a little tricky to put on. But yeah, kind of bothers me they're not concentric, but it does sort of help you mount it somewhere. Alright, well, all up, I really can't complain for the money of this kit. It was about $1.50 Australian. I bought 2 of them. So very easy to assemble, and probably an interesting little starter kit. Seems pretty safe. I haven't managed to zap myself with it. And And yeah, so I think it's something I'll get my apprentice to build. But I really can't go wrong with this one. Anyway, we'll see you in another video, and hopefully it's something fun.